Welcome to our deep dive into the Gran Turismo series and what made the games so great, from their explosion onto the scene in the early 90s to their huge presence in the esports scene of the modern day. Our second video, naturally, looks at the sequel to the original game, Gran Turismo 2. Coming just a few years later, it immediately raised the bar in many ways, which we'll take a look at here. Building on the wildly successful formula of its predecessor, the key word for Gran Turismo 2 was more. The original game had 11 tracks in 21 variations. GT2 expanded significantly on this with 29 tracks in 51 variations. GT2 also broke new ground in featuring the series' first real tracks in the form of Laguna Seca and a section of Pikes Peak, along with tracks based on real streets in Rome and Seattle. The impressive graphic fidelity of Gran Turismo was also preserved, with even more detailed car models and circuits. Gran Turismo 2 had, of September 2012, sold 9.37 million copies, most of them coming from North America, with 3.96 million sold there. Where GT had just over 160 unique licensed car models, GT2 packed in over 590, featuring first appearances from Japan's subcompact key class cars, America's classic muscle cars, and highly strong Le Mans prototypes. All of the original manufacturers reappeared with expanded lineups, including the TVR Cerberus Speed 12 prototype, the Dodge Phaeton concept, and 3 generations of Chevrolet Corvette. New manufacturers from Germany, Italy and France were added, along with new manufacturers from the UK, USA and Japan. GT2 also saw famous debuts for the Renault Espace F1, the Ford GT90 and of course the Suzuki Escudo Pikes Peak. The Polyphony Digital team brought back their fantasy race models, including the popular favourites like the Honda CRX Del Sol LM, Mitsubishi FTO LM and TVR Cerbera LM. Another significant first for the Gran Turismo series was the inclusion of specialist dirt vehicles and rally tracks. The game's section of the Pikes Peak Hill Climb course, which was the only point-to-point track in the series up to the release of Gran Turismo 5, was joined by 5 other fictional dirt circuits, including 2 set on the Pacific island of Tahiti. These circuits were complemented by more than 10 purpose-made rally cars, inspired by the World Rally Championship. Many of the game's road cars could also be equipped with dirt tyres, or race-modified to famous rally cars of days gone by. Gran Turismo 2 retained all of the original courses from the first game, save for Special Stage Route 11, and added Apricot Hill, Midfield and Red Rock Valley to their number. For the first time, the series also saw fictional tracks in real places, Tahiti and Grindelwald for example. There were fictional tracks on real roads in Rome and Seattle, and a genuine real-life racecourse, Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Rally tracks were also included for the first time, similarly representing the imaginary, the real, and points in between. The license test format changed slightly for Gran Turismo 2. There were now 6 licenses, B, A, IC, IB, IA and S, each attained through 10 tests, but the essence remained. Drivers would be taught the nuances of the physics engine, on hard surfaces and on dirt, and be given experience in the full range of the game's cars and tracks, though many tests took place in unique areas. Gran Turismo 2 retained most of the characteristics of the first game in regards to its racing gameplay. Special events returned, offering even more quirky events for specific car body shapes, eras, and even JGTC-derived GT300 and GT500 races. Hidden away the last page of special events, until you pass the S-license tests anyway, was the events synthesizer. 4 races of varying difficulty where you choose your car and the game decides what opponents and tracks you'll be racing at. Endurance events moved to their own category and again multiplied in number from 3 seen in Gran Turismo to 7, including for the first time an endurance race based on time elapsed rather than absolute distance. National events were now featured in the GT League races and formed part of what was essentially the career mode of the game, with regional Japanese, French, American, German, British and Italian series advancing the player to regional and finally world events. With the new dirt tracks came a section just for dirt races. The player would find themselves matched with a single opponent car in a head-to-head race on that track, though no prize cars were awarded for these events. A last new addition was the manufacturer events. Rather than being grouped with all the other races, these were available from the manufacturer's in-game dealerships and were mostly reserved for single models. Like the dirt races, prize money for these series was low, often far lower than the purchase cost of an eligible car, and no prize cars would be awarded either. In the player's home garage was, for the first time, a status screen to show their license status and race statistics, including the percentage of the game completed. However, unlucky early US buyers could never reach 100%, and European players, through changing languages at the start, could race in both Vauxhall and Opel manufacturer events and score 100.91%. Tuning made its return in GT2 in much the same format as its predecessor, with a myriad of options. In addition to new, softer tyre compounds, players could increase power and torque, reduce weight, configure adjustable suspension geometry, and modify gear ratios to transform the behaviour and characteristics of almost any car. Race modifications added variable downforce settings along with new livery and decals that drew inspiration from all around the motoring world. It would certainly be hard for Polyphony Digital to beat Gran Turismo 2 anytime soon, but with new hardware on the horizon from Sony, that perfect opportunity would be just around the corner. Join us next time on GT Planet to see just how they did it.